former co-host here, friend of mine, Jefe Ayafrete.
Yeah.
Getting murked on
He's
Twitter.
getting murked on Twitter.
Last time I checked, the thing was reaching nearly like 200,000 views.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Not a good comment to like ratio.
Not great. Not great. Only 146 likes on that motherfucker.
Like 280 comments. Jeff's getting cooked right now.
He's slotted out there. And if you guys didn't see what he said, the tweet was, the biggest loser this morning after the Super Bowl is Brad Holmes.
Ooh, not a good start.
A strong way to start. Yeah. Strong statement to make off the rip.
I don't know how you
But I
landed
get it.
this
It's an
plane.
attention grabber. How the fuck can you say that, right? What do you mean?
Yeah.
He goes on to say, the Lions have taken unbelievable steps forward since new leadership arrived. My concern is how you operate and grow a startup company versus operating and growing a multi-million-dollar company are two very different things. The Detroit Lions are the $50 million company acting like they're still a startup. They are not the 3-win team they once were. Capitalize on the window of your best opportunity. The Eagles have done just that with being aggressive and prioritizing the trenches with great players.
Listen, I love Jeff. My bambino, little Jeff. I love Jeff, but like, come on, man. They did prioritize this season like they were a $50 million company. They went out there and they gave contracts and traded for players that are veterans that will make impacts right now. They traded for Carlton Davis. They signed DJ Reader. They added pieces, Kevin Zeitler, to that offensive line. They made win-now moves to go after a Super Bowl this year. That's why they all talked about it like it was Super Bowl or bust. That's why they all said that their goal is to win a Super Bowl and anything else is a failure. Unfortunately, their whole team died. Like, there's not much you can do when you've got, 13 defensive players on IR or whatever it was. Brad Holmes made the moves to go after a Super Bowl this year. He went out at the deadline and traded for Zadarius Smith. Like I said, he signed DJ Reader, Kevin Zeitler, traded for Carlton Davis. Those are win-now moves. Those aren't startup company moves. Those are, we need a couple pieces to solidify, bring in some veterans to win a Super Bowl. And that's exactly what he did. Unfortunately, his team died. Like, there's not much you can do when you have that much of an injury bug. Your offense can only be so good to make up for having 14 guys on the IR. I believe Brad Holmes will do more going forward. I believe Brad Holmes will make another move to bolster that roster even more. But when you look at this roster where it would have been if it was healthy, you would put it right up there with the Eagles.
That's the thing for me. Like, they didn't operate like the startup this year. Yeah, as you said, they did trade for Carlton Davis. They moved up in the draft. They signed DJ Reader. Like, they made moves. Some would say safer moves. Like, none of them were splash signings or trades or anything like that. It's been like a consistent like S&P 500, where you kind of just expect a small growth over a period of time. In some contexts, I do see where Jeff's coming from in terms of just like completing this defensive line. But as you hinted towards spinning, like this defensive line, this defense was pretty
complete.
fucking good.
It was complete.
I wouldn't mind if you want to go and make an Apple move and go get fucking Myles Garrett. I think yeah, you do have to capitalize beyond this window. I don't think you can just kind of cruise along. But I don't agree with the fact that they were just cruising along. I don't think that was the case at all. They made moves to get better.
They did,
and unfortunately, guys started just fucking jumping from the fucking sky rises. I mean, they start getting hurt.
There's not much you can do when people are breaking legs, breaking arms, tearing ACLs, and you have
breaking fucking jaws. Like any and every. Like Aiden Hutchinson broke his leg on a sack. There was the freakiest of flukes. Ali McNeil tore his ACL jumping on one leg.
Yeah.
And I don't even know when he's coming back.
And Steve Wilds in the chat is saying he didn't do enough. How he did more. Yeah, well, if 13 of their guys were on IR on that defense, they probably weren't winning the Super Bowl either, bud.
Like, I'm not saying our defensive line was to the caliber of that. I think our defensive line's more like on a rush. Like, if we're a 3rd and 10, you're fucked. That defensive line, as you saw last night, they could rush 4 all the time no matter what, and they got everything's covered. But we weren't bad. We weren't short. We were just hurt.
Yes. The talent discrepancy wasn't as big as you thought it was.
Yeah.
If they were healthy. And obviously, when you have Kendall Vildor and El Quadin Muhammad and Miles Adams and Ben Neiman and the guys like that playing, it looks a lot worse. But if guys are healthy, the talent discrepancy isn't as big as you could see. Now, with that being said, you go get fucking Myles Garrett right now.
Yeah.
You go get that fucking dog. Because Myles Garrett could be your Saquon Barkley.
And how he hit on Quinyon Mitchell.
Yep.
How he hit on Cooper DeJean. Like, I'll say that. I'll be the first to tell you that they were better than our guy Terry Arnold.
Yeah.
We'll see this season. I'm not calling Brad Holmes a loser, Nick.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think everybody's just salty right now, and seeing it last night is because all of us that are, fans of this team, and, we get to talk about them every day, but when it comes draft season, we go through all of these players. Yeah. And you know who passed on every single one of these players? Brad Holmes. When it comes to Jalen Carter, we passed on him.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis, we passed on him.
Yep.
Nolan Smith, we passed on him. That's why every single Detroit Lion fan that has seen those guys through the draft, through the prospects, and maybe they wanted them, maybe they didn't want them, but Brad didn't take them, and they're hurting. Yeah. That is why every single person last night getting all pissy, and not saying Jeff specifically, but I'm saying like as a whole, as a Lion fan base that's already hurt, and then you see 3 guys balling on a D line that you passed on, that makes them even more hurt. So they're expressing it right now, and you clearly see that. But
you know who they didn't pass on? They didn't pass on Jahmyr Gibbs. They didn't pass on Aiden Hutchinson. They didn't pass on Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Penei Sewell. The list goes on and on and on.
Exactly.
So if Jalen Carter, nobody at this network were bigger Jalen Carter guys than us. Like, we love Jalen Carter, and he is looking like he is going to be one of the best defensive players in football next year. But Brad Holmes wanted to go a different direction. Brad Holmes got very good pieces. Aiden Hutchinson would have been Defensive Player of the Year this year if he didn't break his fucking leg.
Facts.
And yes, that makes a difference when you don't have the guy that would have set the sack record this year. Your defense isn't going to be as good. Just one guy, not to mention 5 other starters that were done for the year. So I don't. Brad Holmes is a loser. That was aggressive, and I know that's not what he meant. I know that's not what Jeff meant.
He just kind of said it.
He did just say it. He did just say it.
It might have been what he meant.
But he meant a loser after the Super Bowl, like a loser of the Super Bowl, not just calling him a loser.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people took it as, and that's why that was an aggressive way to start the tweet.
It was, it garnered attention. He got what he was looking for. It was incorrect.
Yeah.
Love the kid, but it was an incorrect statement. But now,
like I said,
you probably still could have got Carter and instead of getting Campbell, facilitate that move to move up and then grab Gibbs. But it's all bygones, and you can't be mad with what we did get. Yeah. But I feel where you're coming from, Nick. There are conversations to be had about maybe Jalen Carter specifically, but
go get Myles Garrett.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I'm at. Go get Myles Garrett. You saw what the Eagles. What were the Eagles last year? What were the Eagles last year? They got bounced in the first round by the Packers.
Yep.
Bucks.
Or Bucks, yeah, sorry.
Even worse.
Even worse. They got bounced in the first round by the Bucks last year. And what was the difference between last year's team and this year's team? Saquon fucking Barkley.
Well, that too.
And coordinators. Go get Myles Garrett, and he'll be your Saquon Barkley. Yeah. You get Myles Garrett, you put him on this defense, you win the Super Bowl next year. Period. End of story. Because Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett will be the best pass rushing duo in the history of the NFL.
I'm with you real quick. I think I wish it was that easy, but this is why it's tough because Brad's going to have to give up the capital. They could literally just sign the check for Barkley. You have to give up capital to go get Garrett. I want to do it still, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that's why it's different, and that's why Philadelphia, everything just literally fell into place for them. They, got an A.J. Brown. They had the Devontae Smith, so they were able to just continuously draft these defensive ends and defensive linemen when Brad Holmes had to fill out his whole entire roster, so he wasn't able to just go D-line, 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 D-line. And he's tried to with some of those later picks.
We're at that point
Aleem,
now,
Broderick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of them haven't worked. But obviously, he's not going to go 100 for 100.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm just saying now we're at the point where it's get what you need to tip the scale.
Yeah.
Yes.
No more dicking around. Like when you're picking this late in the draft, you're not getting surefire hits like you are when you're picking in the top 10. Yeah. Aiden Hutchinson was a great draft pick. It was the fucking second pick overall. And the Jaguars fucked it up by drafting Trayvon Walker. I don't want to be picking 28 and praying this guy's going to fucking carry us to the promised land. No, there's a guy available right now that can carry you to the fucking promised land.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the asking price is, but you pick up the damn
whatever it is, it's worth it.
Right? And even Jalen Carter, they moved up to grab Jalen Carter. Mm-hmm. They traded to get A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
It's not they stay put and where they were at pick 28, building the team from there. No, they facilitated themselves around the drafts to make these moves, and even last year with us.
And that's why I know the Lions fans that are clutching their pearls and clutching their draft picks and build through the draft, develop through the draft. You already have.
We're developed.
You already have.
We're developed.
You built through the draft. You don't need to build anymore. The roster is built. You need one piece to take you over the edge. The roster is set. The draft picks have cultivated and are good, are making all pro teams, are leading the league in interceptions, are breaking their legs, unfortunately. You just need the one. You don't need a draft class that has 5 guys that are going to be starters. You can't have that. You don't have that many spots open.
Exactly. You don't even know if you got to make the fucking team.
Yo.
And we have guys that we drafted that we wanted to see develop, get cut just this past season. And here's the thing, too. There's actual general managers. It's not scuttlebutt from reporters, not scuttlebutt from your fucking friend down the street or a YouTuber on the internet. This is scuttlebutt from actual general managers who are telling you or have said, Myles Garrett is going to cost you 5 first-round picks. Myles Garrett may not cost you 3 first-round picks. It sounds like it's going to be like 2 at the most or first and a couple thirds here, second. Yeah, that's not nothing. If you're willing to make the investment in a broad market with a 3rd-round pick that didn't really pan out, let's trade that. Fuck that pick.
Yeah, everybody in the comments, nobody likes Terrion Arnold, right? You guys all think Terrion Arnold sucks.
Then fuck that pick.
Why do you want that 1st-round pick then? Would you rather have Myles Garrett than Terrion Arnold?
Terrion Arnold, perfect example. You trade, and I don't give a fuck if it was a draft. It was still an acquisition of a player that you knew you were getting when you moved to that spot at 24, 23, whatever it was. You gave up a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick to do it.
Did it for
Why
J-Mo
not
too.
do that same fucking thing? Maybe a little few more. You have the extra comp picks with AG gone now, by the way, too. To get Myles fucking Garrett. There's no cap situation where it fucks you. You're good. You're fine. His money's non-guaranteed, and it fits right in what you're doing right now.
And real quick, people are saying, yeah, A.J. Brown got traded. Yeah, he did.
He did.
And you know what happened with that draft pick that they gave up? The Titans drafted Treylon Burks.
Yep.
Treylon Burks. What are we doing here, fellas? It's never going to be 100 for 100, hit rate in the draft. If you could get a defensive player of the year, Hall of Famer, you go out and you get that goddamn dog.
Yeah.
Come on, boys.
And I love that they built, I think Jeff was right in this. They did the startup part.
Yeah.
That part's completed.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're at the fucking, like you said, operating at the $5 million.
Now it's time to reap what you've sown.
Yes, now it's time to go all in.
And I like Terrion Arnold, for the record. I think Terrion Arnold's going to be very good. I'm probably the highest person on Terrion Arnold at this network. It's just, I hear everybody in the chat saying he sucks, but then you can't give up 1st-round picks because they're so valuable.
Yeah.
Well, pick a struggle, bud.
You put Terrion on that secondary for the Eagles, looks like a superstar.
Looks a lot
Guarantee
better.
it.
Kryptonic TV, Myles Garrett doesn't even want to come here. He'd never do it without a massive extension. That is incorrect.
Not true.
Neither of the things have ever been stated.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one has literally been denounced by him himself. Yeah. He doesn't care about the money.
Unprovable hypotheticals.
He wants to win a Super Bowl. Now, that could be possible. He doesn't want to come here. I'd question that here in his comments about the quarterback.
And look pretty happy talking to Aiden and Goff. I know you guys talked about that.
But Aiden was there. He maybe was scared a little bit.
I mean,
No, I was kidding. Oh, Goff was there. That's why he was scared.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Daddy Goff in the building now. Hold on.
Chris, last word on this, and we'll go to break.
Yeah, I think you guys hit it. It's the draft prospects, right? And it's the fact that, look, every draft has extreme talent. Like, you're not going to be able to draft all of the only good players. And the fact that they were all defensive linemen, like Nick pointed out, which that is our glaring weakness, especially when the injuries happen to this roster. It just highlighted an issue that we already knew. But this regime made moves. You talked about the trades at the deadline, going for a guy like Garrett, and then ultimately you look at too the fact that they. Oh man, I just lost my train of thought too. What was the last thing? Oh, the coaching personnel as well. Like you went out, you addressed and made win now moves in every department. Coaching personnel, roster construction, everything. So to me, I can't say they did. I can't say they're operating like a startup. I don't agree with that part of it.
No, they just had a terrible
Historically unlucky year.
Yeah, literally a historically unlucky year. That sucks, but hopefully next year everybody doesn't die.
One more, if I may. Just, I believe it was Kryptonic TV just saying, like, everyone's ignoring what Brad and Dan have done. No, we're not at all. It's just we're at a different point in the line.
Yeah,
like,
what the fuck are we talking about?
If they had won if they win a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, then yeah, people should shut the fuck up. But we won a Super Bowl, so like, excuse us for saying, hey, let's go get that fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care who stays or who goes on this team if they win a Super Bowl. If they win a Super Bowl, every single player on this team, if they had to move on from them, I would say thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. You will always be a Detroit Lions legend. Have a great day. Yep. You win a Super Bowl. That's it. That's all that matters. That is the only thing that matters. Now, you guys got to start understanding that That is the only thing that fucking matters, is winning a Super Bowl. The North doesn't matter. The number 1 seed in the NFC doesn't matter. How you're feeling on draft night doesn't matter. The only thing that fucking matters is winning a Super Bowl. Your feelings, their feelings, the money, none of that shit matters. You go win a Super Bowl, then anybody can walk, or you don't have to pay anybody you want. I don't give a shit. Win a Super Bowl and then do whatever you gotta do.